Hello everyone. Today we will read one more chapter of economics, that is people as resource. Now here in this topic, people as resource, you can see there are two terms, people and resource. Before starting this chapter, we are going to discuss what does these two terms mean. What does mean by people here and what does mean by resource here. People as resource refer to the production, skill and abilities of country's working population. Population become human resource when we make investment in health, education, training, etc. Here, people here refers to population, that is Indian population. Population here is Indian population as a whole. Now this term you understood, people that is population, that to whole. What does resource mean? We have already learnt resource in chapter 1. But here resource means anything which can be transformed into benefits. Transformed means change. Transformed means change. Now we going to discuss how can we convert Indian population in resource. Right guys? Population of a country can be viewed in two ways. First is asset and second is liability. Asset means something valuable, uh, something investment like house, land, and liability means burden. Liability means burden. Next is, now we look at the country with the large population. We always see the negative aspect and overlook the positive one. We always discuss the problem of food, employment, education, health facility that arise due to the large size or rapid growth of population. On the other hand, there is a positive side also, a large population. Take an example, a country can turn human resource like student into human capital like engineers and doctors. Human capital formation. To understand this thing, I giving one example on your basis only. Like you are a student now. Right now you are liability or asset for your parents. Yes, you are liability for your parents now. Why? Because you're not contributing anything in economic activities. Means you are not earning anything for your parents. They are investing in your education, they investing on your health, so that in future you would be an asset to your family, after for society, and later on for nation. When you are putting your efforts, putting time and money makes to have a profit. So education is here as an investment. Education is an important input for the growth of an individual. Educated people gain through higher incomes. Definitely educated people earns more than illiterate person. Health is another important source for human capital formation. How the health of a person helps him to realize his potential and its ability to fight illness. It increases the efficiency of a worker. It reduces the production loss caused by the worker illness. So, students, for example, countries like Japan do not have any natural resource that India has. They have made investment on people in the form of education and health. This has improved the efficiency and the level of technology in these countries. Then they made the efficient use of land and capital and made them rich or developed countries in the world. The most important topic of this chapter is economic activity. What does mean by economic activity? That is an economic activity that involves money. Whatever we are doing and money is involved in that activity will be considered as an economic activity. Take for an example, if I am buying a copy for myself and going to pay some money to the shopkeeper, money is involved in my activity. This activity of mine will be considered as an economic activity because money is involved there. Take one more example. If I am going to teach you and I am paid for that, it means it is an economic activity. Very simple. In the first picture, farming is done, right? If farmer is producing for his family, still it is an economic activity because he must purchase some raw material for himself. So farming is an economic activity. So these activities are related to the production of goods by utilizing natural resources like land, water. This included farming, forestry, mining, and other quarrying and other more activities. These all categories falls into the primary sector activity. Activity is also known as farming sector, and secondary sector activity is also known as manufacturing sector activity. Now let's talk about secondary sector. What are they? In this sector, we transform the raw material by using some processing method to produce some finished goods. In the first picture, you can see the workers are producing goods in the company. So that is the example of manufacturing sector. If we talk about the tertiary sector, or you can say service sector, tertiary sector means goods are not produced in this sector but service are produced. For example, if I am teaching you all and it means I am providing some services, I am not giving any commodities, that will be considered as a tertiary sector. For example, transport, communication, and insurance all are the example of tertiary sector. The next topic of population. The development of a country depends upon the quality of its population. Right, students? The quality of population in turn is determined by the literacy rate, health of a person, and skills by the people of a country. Is it? It is a quality of a population that ultimately determines the growth rate of the economy. To improve the quality of population, government running many schemes for the people. The first elementary education scheme has been given on the universalization, retention and the quality with special attention on girls education. Name of this scheme is Sav Shiksha Abhiyan that was launched in 2001. Its aim is to provide elementary education to all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years. The second scheme by the government to improving the quality of population is midday meal scheme. Did you hear this name? Midday meal scheme running in the government schools. It has also been launched in 1995 to increase the attendance and also to improve the nutrition status of children. The third scheme is Navodaya Vidyalaya schools have been set up in each district of a country. This Vidyalaya open for the development of talented, bright and gifted children. These schemes all are running by the government for the people. The next topic is unemployment. Students, who is a person is said to be unemployed when he is able to willing work at the prevailing wages rate but does not find work. If some person are voluntarily unemployed, they prefer to remain out of work. A person may be willingly to work, but due to some physical disablement, he cannot work. He will also not be counted as unemployment. When we talk of unemployed people, we only refer to those in the age group of 15 to 60 years. Children below 15 years of age and the old people beyond 60 are not considered while counting the number of unemployed. Such persons cannot become the part of labor force even when they are able and willing to work. So, unemployment refers to a kind of situation where people have ability and willing to work but not finding job anywhere. That is unemployment. The next topic is types of unemployment in India. There are two types of unemployment. First is rural unemployment and urban unemployment. Rural unemployment are also further categories. First is seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment happens when people are not able to find work during some months of a year. In India, we have mostly unirrigated land which is capable of giving only one crop a year. So, our farmer remain unemployed about the 3 to 4 months in a year. Second is disguised unemployment. In India, we find so called disguised unemployment in the agricultural sector. Disguised unemployment is a situation where workers are visibly unemployed but their contribution to production is zero. Suppose a given piece of land can be efficiently cultivated by 4 persons. If all the 6 members of a family are working on the same land, the additional 2 persons will be called disguised unemployed, since their removal will not affect total production. Next is urban unemployed. Unemployed we found in educated people. Educated unemployment refers to the unemployment among the educated people, which include high educated people. Some of these people do not find any job. They fall under the category to open unemployment, where there are some others who are not doing jobs according to their qualifications. Next is consequence of unemployment. First is wastage of production resource. Unemployment leads to wastage of human resource. Its idle main power means lower level of national output. It could be in the entire labor was utilized. If unemployment is among the educated person, definitely they are sitting at home. So it will be the wastage of resource will be greater. This is an account investment in education and skill formation. Second is low level of output. Unemployed people could not make any contribution to country's production because the level of output in the economy remain at low level. Third is increase in the poverty because it's a very simple unemployment is a source of poverty. Unemployment people are generally poor. Hence, unemployed adds to the number of persons who are below the poverty line. Next is increase in economic burden. Unemployment tends to increase economic burden. The dependence of the unemployment on the working population increase. The overall quality of life is worst affected. So these were the consequences of unemployment. I hope you all quite understood this chapter very well. Thank you so much.